Rotary.
That's the first thing I found.
It ain't happening, it's dead, it's dead.
We're neighbors, we're not supposed to be.
Unless you put that fountain.
They killed it.
The fountain, got my
You
interest.
might be on the fountain.
With a fountain in the middle?
Yeah, I can see it. I think it would go.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the North Branford Planning and Zoning regular meeting for January 2026.
January 22nd.
2-2.
26.
January 22nd, 22. Time out. Start over. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the North Branford Planning and Zoning regular meeting, January 22nd, 2026. Please remove your cap and join me in saluting the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce the members of the commission seated here tonight. To my left is Ron Sienna, regular member. To his left is the secretary of the commission, Barry Ponder. To his left is Paul Marino, an alternate member. And to his left is Chris Heon, a regular member of the commission. To my far right is Janet Crane, our recording secretary. And at the administrative table is David Perkins, our town planner. Finally, my name is Robert Nowak. I'm the chairman for the commission seated here tonight. Next order of business is consider the approval for minutes for January 8th, 2026. I'd ask commission members to review the minutes if you haven't already. Let me know if you have any corrections, modifications, or changes to them, and then when you're ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as revised. And we do have a quorum for those minutes.
Set a motion to approve.
Motion by Paul, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Barry. Any discussion? So we're all in favor of approving the minutes for January 8th, 2026. Please say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, next order of business on the docket tonight is a public hearing possible action for application 2025-10 zoning map amendment 435 and 465 Foxen Road. I'd ask the secretary to read into the minutes the public notice.
Please insert the following legal ad in the Sound on Thursday, January 8, 2026, and Thursday, January 15, 2026. Legal notice, North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission. Notice is hereby given that the North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, January 22nd, 2026, at the North Branford Town Hall, 909 Foxen Road, North Branford, Connecticut, to consider the following. A, application number 2025-10, zoning map amendment to change the parcels at 435 and 465 Foxen Road from R40 residential zone to B1 business zone. Applicants, John Castrovetro and John Duty. Attorney, Leonard Fasano, agent. At this hearing, all interested persons may appear and be heard, and written communications will be received. Copies of proposals are on file for public inspection in the Town Hall Planning Department. Robert Nowak, Chairman.
Thank you, Barry. Next, I'd like to read a statement for how the public hearing will be conducted. The purpose of this meeting is to hear all pertinent testimony of those in support of and in opposition to the application before the commission. The public hearing be open, testimony be heard in the following order. Applicant explaining their application, project, and proposal. Staff and commissioner ask questions or comment on the application. General public will have an opportunity to speak in support of and opposition to the application in the form of statement or questions. Applicant will have an opportunity to respond to the public comments and provide closing statements. Staff and commission will again have an opportunity to comment. When all sides have spoken, the public hearing will be closed and no further public discussion will be entertained. After the public hearing is closed, the commission will vote vote on the application. Some rules for public testimony. When addressing the commission, please speak into the microphone, state your name and address for the record. All comments should be addressed to the commission, not the applicant. Be relevant to the application on hand and should not be of a personal nature. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Once time has expired, please be respectful of the commission and other members for the public who want to speak. Please avoid repetitive comments. Once a public hearing is included, out of respect for this body, please kindly we ask that the audience take any discussion about the results outside the chamber so we may continue our business. So with that being said, of the application here, if you come up and explain your project.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Leonard Fasano of Lee and Florentine in the town of Branford. I'm just going to put up the map that we're all pretty familiar with, I'm sure. I'm going to turn it this way. There's nothing really there. So basically what that does is that's just showing where the property is. I know you're all familiar with it. It's the Duty's property. Everybody knows the property. It's been around forever. But there comes a time when life changes and things have to unfortunately adapt to the change. And I think the owners of the property at this time have reached that part of their life. What we're looking to do is, this is an R40 zone located off a state highway, obviously being Foxen Road. And what we're looking to do is take it from an R40 zone to a B1 zone. Now, the question is, why would you look at that for this project? So if you look at your plan of development that was done in 2019, there was some statistics. In Connecticut, probably the toughest hurdle all towns have and all residents face is growing property taxes. And if you don't have a strong commercial tax base, you're left with those property taxes have to be passed upon the residents. They're gonna have to bear the cost, which is a negative effect. That's been a huge problem in the state of Connecticut. And as the state takes their money and dole it out, not all, the towns don't always get their fair share of what they submit to the state, which is true in North Branford, as in many other towns. So towns like North Branford are left to themselves to figure out their budgets, and the way you do that is you have to increase property taxes. If you have a strong commercial base, there's less that's imposed upon residents. So that is not just my analysis. In 2019, when the town did a plan of development as required for it to do, it submitted online a whole story. What I'd like to do, I've given a copy today for the record. With the permission of the chair, I'd like to just give this to the commission members.
Please do.
Thank you.
So this is excerpts because it's 100 and something pages long. But basically, if you look at it, it talks about the fact that, and this goes back to 2015, albeit it's a little bit untimely, it's probably still pertinent. 72% of the grand list was residential back then, and only 12.5% of the risk of the grand list was commercial, industrial. And the number of properties that are rural in character is higher than the average for most towns. Basically what it's saying is that your tax base is predominantly dependent upon residential. And then it goes on to talk about the different zones. The next page of it talks about, of that, which would be page 44, talks about Route 80 being the corridor for the highest volume traffic. This is where you may want to look at putting your commercial. So what this initially did was to study what your tax base looks like and what the plan should be as you approach 2029, which is what this is focused on. what your plan should be to increase your tax base, your commercial base in the town of North Branford. That brings you to the next item, which has a little sunflower, which talks about future use. And what the discipline of Mylona McBroom, who did the study that was approved by the town, was to figure out what are the strategies to achieve a higher, more prudent fiscal base. The next page talks about Route 80 West, Route 80 Center. And what I ask you to do is there's two pictures. There's, if you see, I've circled in green an area, that's called Route 80 West. What that is, and if you look at the page behind it, is what the map looked like, and then I blew it up in that area. So, but I wanted you to see the legend and what the actual map was, is the future land use plan. And what they talked about is North Branford's got great rural area, it's got great housing, but you have to take advantage of the corridors that's going to achieve the maximum economic base for the town of North Branford. It took West Route 80, as they call this area, as an area along the Route 80 that should be developed and make it into businesses. So this zone change is compliant with the plan of development as approved by the town of North Branford, because we're taking an area that's R40 on Route 80 in the middle of this Route 80 West and saying, let's make it commercial. So it's compliant with that to help build an economic base. And I think that the unique part about this is across the street is the open space land with the old Frank Fermento development that was, I don't know, in the 80s sometime. It is open space there. Then there's still across the street, there's a historic property and then a cemetery. So there's not a lot of outflow right across from this piece of property. So I think it's a unique opportunity when the right person comes along to develop it, to make it a corridor for Route 80. Now, in the words of this plan, it talks about when this is developed, you want to make sure the architectural is right, kind of like what you guys did over the years in the center of Northford, right? It's a lot of colonial. When you look, it kept the colonial atmosphere between where 17 and 22 hit, all that area. The professional offices, the store that's there, it looks, the Dunkin' Donuts, it looks colonial time. You can set the right stage with this. So people have asked, because this came up at a zone change which this board did not feel comfortable approving at the time, why aren't you putting a site plan together with this? Why aren't you doing something that fits and say this is what you're going to develop? And the truth of the matter is, if we did a site plan with the zone change and someone bought the property and didn't do the site plan because they want something different, we'd be doing a bait and switch. We're being honest. We're not developing this piece. We don't have an end developer for this piece. But by doing a zone change, they come in with the site plan. Under your site plan regulations, which you're more familiar with them than I am, there's language in here about harmony with the area. There's language in here about buffers from residential. All the safeguards that you all will use when a site plan comes along that fits the B1 zone, and you will look at. And depending on what they do, whoever uses it, whether it's professional, whether it's a commercial store, whatever it is, the parking's gonna change. So any site plan that's shown now is bound to change unless someone's gonna come in and do the exact same plan, but the chances are no. So what this does with your site plan, you're gonna be able to take care of all the safeguards. Your site plan is very heavy, and you all have been, I know as a board, making sure the buffer areas for residential are maintained, are well landscaped to screen off. And that's your job, and you'll do it right. But this is the beginning of trying to set the right economic base for the town of North Branford. And that's why we propose to do it in this way. I don't have much more to add because I'll be redundant, and I don't want to be redundant. There are people here probably who are going to want to speak. So essentially, summing it up, it fits the plan of development. It is something I think that can be orchestrated to set the tone for future plan and development on the west end. This board sits in two functions, zoning and planning. This is where I'm sort of asking the planning hat to come on for this area and perhaps the rest of Route 80, which has been identified by objective experts and approved by the town council as the area that should be developed as a tax base. It's really all I really have without getting redundant, so I will stop there, and if there's either questions or if the audience speaks and some people have some questions at the end, I'll be happy to answer them.
Commission members have any questions for the applicant? No. I think we're good, Len.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. For those who are not familiar with the plan of conservation and development, I'll go over it one more time. It basically was a plan developed in 2019, just to expand on what Mr. Fasano had brought up, was a plan that was developed by the residents of North Branford. They put their planning hat on and said, how can we, as a comprehensive as we possibly can, address all the concerns for the next, I believe, 10 years? So they identified all the areas in town as they pre-exist, from wetlands to the trail along the Farm River, and identified in this comprehensive plan that the town of North Branford has on their website, I believe, right, Dave?
Yes.
That anyone can go see and investigate what Mr. Fasano had just provided to us, excerpts out of that document. It's one of our guiding documents for the planning and zoning for everything that we look at, to see what the planners a couple years ago thought they would like us to see. And so I think it's very comprehensive relative to that. The question is, what's not addressed in that planning and the plan of conservation and develop is basically, where else is business going to be in North Branford? It's not in the plan, other than along Route 80. I don't think we want it in DeFrancesco's farm or the farmland. We want to preserve that. So the ideal, these individuals looked at this development, and the plan of conservation and development said the best course of action would be along the major commercial corridor in North Branford, and that's Route 80. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is open a public hearing for those who are in support of. I'm going to divide you into groups, to those who are in support of first to speak first, and those who are against to speak after that. And then once that's concluded, we'll have the applicant rebut any of the comments, have his comments accordingly. So with that being said, I'll open up the public hearing. Hearing no comments from the commission, I'll open a public hearing to anyone who'd like to speak in favor of the development of the R40 to B1 zone for the Duties property. Anybody in support of who would like to speak? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Kara Papa. I live at 65 Great Hill Road here in North Branford. I just want to say, we all have different impacts. Change impacts us all, but I just want us all to remember that we've all lived through all the change in our lives so far, and so we can live through other change, especially this change is more on paper than I think anything else. I do have some questions. I'm curious as to, talking to some folks over the past couple of weeks, if this property has always been used as an inn and a restaurant, why is it not grandfathered as a business? That I'm curious about. I'm also curious about, when we talk about the planning document, we have a new housing bill that's coming out, and I know that this property falls in what's an overlay zone right now, which is the bus, the community bus serves it, so it may be commercialized in that overlay zone anyway. We've had conversations about that. And so with the new housing bill coming out, making this change in this property being in that corridor, making this zoning change may be inevitable anyways, and this way we have control. We're always talking about private property here, so people get to do with what they want. Having a planning and zoning commission is one of the ways when private property was developed, people had a say about it. So I'm thankful to be able to come to this public meeting and say that I'm fully in support of the change in this. I don't think it's going to affect anybody. Change is scary. We can think about all the things that could possibly happen, but as was mentioned, the site plan still has to come here, and they still have to fit whatever they put there into the site plan. And if we have other zoning changes coming forward, as was mentioned about Northford, keeping the same look and the same size and the same buffers, I think, as a community, we could all do that, but we shouldn't be saying no to something like this when, yes, we're supposed to be supportive of business. And I'm not sure about the people who are going to speak tonight, but I hear a lot of people in town saying they want more business. So, if we want more business, the best place to put it is on Route 80, because we don't want it anywhere else. We want our open space. We want to go on our hikes. We want to keep the population about the size that we have it now. And I'm not a big density person either, but I would like to see my housing prices for taxes stay relatively the same or get a little bit better. Thank
Karen.
you.
Anyone else like to speak in support of?
Hi, I just got a couple things to say. I've lived right across the street from this property for the past 78 years.
Name and
Okay?
address, please.
Huh?
Name and address.
Oh, sorry. Florence Jasuda was 520 Fox Road, North Branford.
525 Fox.
520.
Oh,
Yeah. So I lived there my whole life and saw many, many changes come. This town has changed from rural to really going into business, and I don't see that that is going to change and all of a sudden go back to being rural. It just doesn't happen that way. We're going forward, and we got to move forward in the best way we can for this town. I remember when I was younger, I had all the noise from duties because, they had open windows and, music and everything. And you know what? I lived through it. I realize this entails more because what can go in there, I don't know. And I hope it's done with the integrity of this town wants to show us that they are here for us to make our lives better. Maybe that we don't have to have our taxes so high all the time. I think that would be wonderful. Again, I've been here a long time. I don't know how much more time I'm going to be here, but you know what? I want it to be good. And again, I'm very much impacted by what's there because I live across the street. But at the same time, I realize we have to go forward. That's it.
Thank you so much. Anyone else want to speak in favor of?
William Sauls, 739 Forest Road. The town needs commercial property. And please tell me where there's another piece better than that one. It has to. It's all it will ever be is commercial. I'm all for it, turn it to commercial. Zoning still has the say on what gets built there and how it's done by the people. No one likes new neighbors, and I'll speak for that, because I remember when my house was the only house down there, and now I got neighbors everywhere. It's progress. And tax dollars. What are they paying on taxes on that property now, and what are they gonna pay the minute it gets turned to commercial, let alone with nothing built on it?
Yeah.
Should be turned to commercial, and I mean, the Duty family, the people are getting ready to retire and sell it and gone. And that's basically it. No one knows what's going there. And whatever's going there gotta come before the zoning anyway and get yelled at. At least this way you got a little say. I mean, I'm for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak in favor of?
Cliff Potter, Northford. I was here last year for whatever that was.
Sorry, address.
1251 Middletown Avenue, non-commercial. I would like to see this pass. The lineage this family has, the do-good they've done for town. They're not going to go crazy with the property. They want to retire while they got their health and enjoy their grandkids and maybe find some warm weather. Let's hope. This is only a zone change. I think what happened last year that was a big mess is they got into planning and zoning questions. And I think that's where you got to start gaveling people when it's a zone change. Once it's zone change, if something has to happen, guess where they got to end up? Right here in front of you. They got to start here again. So again, I think we need a little more structure, a little more control this time. Keep it about the zone change and about the good the family's trying to do. And if not, I think then there'll be a problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Steph. Anyone else like to speak in favor of?
Rich Burgess, 229 Branford Road. I support this. This just seems like a no-brainer. I think it's not even worth wasting time on it. We should just do this and get it over with. This is what the way North Branford needs to go. Let's just get it done.
Thanks, Rich. Anyone else in support of would like to speak? Anyone else like to?
Hi,
Hello.
Anna Filipkowska.
Just give me the address, I'll figure it out.
Okay, 229 Branford Road.
Okay.
So I also support this change. We need more businesses in this town, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor of? Anyone else like to speak in favor of? Would anyone else like to speak in favor of?
Do you want me to read a letter or two?
Sure, that would be great, Dave. While we're in support of, absolutely.
This is to the Planning and Zoning Commission from the Economic Development Commission. At our January 5th, 2026 meeting, the Economic Development Commission voted to send a letter of support for the application to rezone 435 and 465 Foxen Road. As you are aware, the town of North Branford has very limited commercial real estate available. Per the 2019 POCD, less than 4% of the land is zoned commercial and industrial. Once RWA property, open space, and Tilcon property are accounted for, more than half the property in town is undevelopable. As such, difficult decisions have to be made to optimize and expand our commercial properties. Route 80 is the town's natural commercial corridor, but it's a hodgepodge of commercial and residential nodes, many of which predate zoning and include non-conforming uses. These two parcels both have existing non-conforming commercial uses in a residential zone. The commercial use of one property from 1935 predates almost all the residential homes surrounding it. The location of the two properties next to one another forms a de facto commercial node that we believe warrants rezoning. Additionally, we believe that rezoning the properties aligns with the stated goals of the POCD to optimize the commercial areas of Route 80 to encourage business expansion and retention. We appreciate your consideration on the matter and encourage you to support the application. That's from the EDC. And I have one more. Dear members of the commission, I am writing in support of the request to rezone the property at 465 Foxton Road from residential to commercial use that has been home to a locally owned restaurant for more than 70 years. The restaurant is operated without disrupting neighboring residential properties and has demonstrated that commercial activity at this location is compatible with the surrounding area. This property has functioned continuously since its inception as a successful restaurant and has become a well-known and valued establishment in North Branford. While the parcel is currently zoned residential, the restaurant's long-standing commercial use, along with many other nearby businesses, clearly reflects the current reality and likely the future of this section of Route 80. Additionally, rezoning the property would provide fairness and future stability to the property owners. Maintaining a residential zoning designation on a parcel that has operated commercially for decades creates unnecessary uncertainty and may negatively affect future sale or reinvestment opportunities. Allowing the rezoning ensures that the property can be transferred in a manner consistent with its long-established use. From a planning perspective, this request supports responsible land use policy. Route 80 already functions as a commercial corridor in many areas, and recognizing this property as commercial would reinforce thoughtful, consistent zoning rather than forcing a long-standing business to continue as a non-conforming parcel. Furthermore, maintaining a viable commercial corridor contributes to the town's economic health and tax base while preserving local businesses that residents value. For these reasons, I respectfully urge the commission to approve the rezoning request. Doing so reflects its current land use patterns and promotes sound planning for the future of North Branford. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Heidi Sargent.
I got that.
Any others, Dave?
That's it.
Okay. With that being said, I'm going to move on to those who oppose the project. Would anyone like to speak in opposition to the zone change for Duty's property?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Lucia Wojcik, and I live at 6 Cinnamon Ridge Drive in North Branford. Mr. Fasano, that was a very nice presentation, by the way. And unfortunately, Mr. Perkins, you never returned my call, but that's okay. I'm definitely not in favor of this transformation from a residential to a commercial area. Number one, the traffic, I live very close to Cinnamon Ridge Drive coming out. Number one, if you could guarantee us you're gonna put a traffic light on the corner of Route 80 and Cinnamon Ridge, and also on on Ashley Park, I would say maybe we might consider it. It's ridiculous. You have to wait there. This is Route 80. This is our area here. We're all middle-class people, and the majority of our equity is in our homes. And if you think by putting whatever you want across the street is going to embellish our neighborhood, you're far from being correct here. As well as noise, and as well as depreciation of our property. And no, ma'am, it's not going to increase the value of our property. Certainly, I don't think any one of you would want to live in an area in rural North Branford, living across the street from, we'll say, maybe small little shops or things along that nature. It's just not going to work. And we've been here in North Branford for 29 years, and we were never allowed to believe. We bought this property from Fermento, and they built a nice area. We take care of that open space in the front, and we have taxes, and we pay for insurance, if God forbid something were to happen. But certainly, this is not the consensus of our area. It's not gonna work. It's gonna depreciate the value of our homes. It's going to increase traffic, which we already have a hard time. Let's keep it residential. In fact, when Mr. Fermento wanted to initially create this development that we have presently, he wanted to put smaller houses closer together. But the town, in their goodness, said, no, no. You're coming in from East Haven up Route 80. We want it to look nice. Larger homes were built, they were separated, and we've been there for 29, going on in the fall, 30 years. And we hope you consider our desire to keep it as such. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition to?
How you doing, people? Roy Volta, 76 Tucker Road, North Branford. I've been here 26 years. I love the place. Now with this here chaos going back and forth, it's forget about it. On Tucker Road, it's no through trucks, and you got more traffic over there now than you ever did before. When you open up this here on the corner again, you're gonna have worse thing, and it's not getting better. Or what did they put in there? Is it gonna put another junk like they have up on Tucker Road on both sides? You guys are ruining this town. I mean, what happened to Route 80 where Corky used to be? Why can't you develop that property up there? Beautiful. A lot of place, right? Why picking on us?
Anything else, sir?
I'm happy to say that.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you very much.
I abolish it. Don't even think about it. Keep smiling. Get a little tired.
Anyone else like to speak in opposition to?
Gary Semino, 18 Ashley Park Drive. We went through this about a year ago, and again, the traffic got brought up. I moved back here, I grew up here, I came here in 1960, I moved out when I got married. I came back because what the town is, it was like a farm town, and that's what we enjoyed, and that's why we came back here. I don't think that we should be changing zoning for whatever, that we have no clue on what they're gonna do there. You could promise us the world, but you know what happen, we know what happens with that. So I'm totally against it. We don't need it here.
Thank you, Gary. Anyone else like to speak in opposition to?
In the year that's passed, James Colbert, 25 Edward Road. I actually moved to Northford when I was 2 years old in 1971. So I owned a house in North Branford since 2001. And like I heard before, the traffic is ridiculous over here. And my main question is, has this changed from a school zone to something else in the meantime? Or is this still a school zone in this area?
From a what?
School zone.
We don't have a school zone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what was said before. There's two schools. It's right in the middle of the two schools, correct?
Well, there may be a school zone in terms of traffic, but there's no school zone in terms of zoning regulations.
So there's nothing that regulates anything in the area between the two schools.
Not from a zoning point of view.
Right, we're talking
Any point
just
of
the
view.
zone change. We're not talking about anything else other than changing the property use to a business zone. Nothing else about traffic lights, or anything else. That comes next, whoever buys it, and when it comes in front of us, then you can really voice your opinion about traffic and everything else when he proposes something to us. At this point in time, there is nothing in front of us other than specifically changing the use of the land. What comes next is what you're concerned about, traffic lights and traffic and noise and everything else. Right now, that's not on the table.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary. James? Sorry, James.
Nicole Riccitelli, 1 Tumblebrook Drive. I have been in North Branford for the last 21 years. All of them have been in the neighborhood directly abutting Duty's property. Either Arthur Road was our first home and now Tumblebrook Drive. My property backs up to the back of Duty's property. So as we talked about last year, we do have concerns about the property in general, the school zones, the fact that it is within 25 feet on either side of a elementary and middle school. We have a major gas line that flows through that property. That's actually probably the only reason we have a tree line between me and Duty's is because of that pipeline. We are very concerned about, obviously, our property values. I paid over $500,000 for my house, and that is my investment. I appreciate that Duty's has run their business for many years, and they have every right to sell their property. They have every right to sell their property as it is. It is grandfathered in as a restaurant. We were told last year that it would continue to be grandfathered even if it was sold to another property owner, that it could continue to exist as a restaurant. So we're not impacting their ability to operate or function as their current use under their restaurant. Nobody's asking that. We are asking for some consideration for the residents that abut that property, the impact it will have on our property values. Everybody makes me laugh. Oh, the tax base, the tax base. Do you think that you're actually going to reduce my property taxes? That would never, ever, ever in a million years happen. So I appreciate wanting to bring in business. I too would love a business. And in fact, if they came up with a great proposal that said, hey, we'd like to put in this kind of business that brings jobs, that brings security, that brings safety, that is good for our community, that would be wonderful. And I think you would hear a lot of residents in support of that. We don't dispute Duty's as a family has been very good to North Branford. We appreciate them. We are not discounting any of the wonderful things Duty has done, and we don't want to disrupt their opportunity to retire. But I also want to preserve my opportunity to retire, and that was my investment. My nest egg is my property, and I have to defend that. So I ask for your consideration for the neighbors. I ask for your consideration in what that does for our property value. And again, the traffic is horrendous, and you cannot get out of Arthur Road or Edward Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition to the project?
Hello, my name is Denise Crow. I'm at 23 Ashley Park Drive, North
So
Branford.
Denise, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Anything new?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mr. Fasano, you said in the study.
Denise, you address us?
Mr. Fasano said in the study that he quoted that Route 80 on the west side, right, was, the land use plan is to develop that. But you also said that Route 80 corridor is the highest volume of traffic, right? So everybody here just spoke about how horrible it is to get out of their developments, et cetera. I want to cite something that just happened this fall. There was an event at Duty's. I think it was a funeral or something like that. The traffic on Route 80 was backed up from the light at the mobile station all the way down. We had a police officer cutting through our development on Cinnamon Ridge to get through the traffic because it was backed up for a good 15 minutes. There was major trucks going in there, parking. It was a disaster. Also, the noise, there's noise at various times that disrupts a lot of the children, the families, etc. So how is putting commercial, more commercial, in a residential area? You said right there that it's mixed commercial, residential, all up and down Duties. And combining the two properties, you would make, from the letter, one parcel. But there's a residential driveway between the two properties. And we keep referring all of this as the Duties property. Well, there's also the total, right? The renovation, I think that's what they're called. That's also in this. It's very strange that the two are linked
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Okay? Just saying, a developer is linked with the duties property. There's something going on here. More than just a zoning change. Let's just put it out there. There's more that's going on. That gentleman is gonna develop that property. They wouldn't be linked together. This gentleman wouldn't be representing both of them. So I know what we said. Mr. Potter keeps saying it. This is a zoning change. There's more here than just a zoning change.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to speak in opposition to the project?
Hi, I'm Dave Galati, 26 Ashley Park Drive.
Dave, anything new? Nothing
so.
about traffic or noise?
No, no,
We've
it's
already
nothing
heard
to
all
do
that
with
already.
future
Something that we haven't heard before, please.
Excuse me, it's nothing to do with future commission meetings. I realize traffic and lights and noise has no place in this meeting.
Thank you.
What I want to discuss is a little bit about last year's and the fear that the people had of the unknown. We can't predict the unknown. I won't even go there. Mr. Fasano mentioned the open space opposite this land. He mentioned the nice cemetery opposite this land. He neglected to mention the nice neighbors that lived in that area that will be affected by whatever the commercial development happens to take place. And there's a lot of residents in that area, a lot of neighborhoods. We don't know what will come in there. We can't forecast that. All we can say is once it becomes commercial, anything can go in there. We hope that this commission will control what goes in there. But again, with the new housing regulation that took effect this year by the State General Assembly, you might not have as much control as you had before with developers that want to come in and put in mixed housing with retail on the bottom floor and housing above that might demand 30% low-income housing. I don't know how much control you might have over that going forward. All I know is the owners want to get out, and I don't blame them for wanting to get out. As soon as the okay happens tonight, which I'm sure it will, that's going to go to a realtor tomorrow. There's no question. And hopefully, in their mind, something will start to happen for them on that property. We might think as a town that it would be nice, it would be nice to see a bank, a drugstore, maybe a pharmacy. But guess what? We have those properties already vacant. They're not coming in there. We might get a restaurant, maybe a Chili's, because he has a liquor permit that's very valuable. So somebody might want to move in there. I don't know how aware you are of a liquor permit and its value. That liquor permit is probably part of the reason he's staying there. It's very valuable. So now, the fathers deemed that residential years ago and agreed to grandfather him in as commercial, said, you know what, this is a neighborhood. We don't want our town to look like Route 80 in East Haven and New Haven. Drive down that street. That's what possibly could happen to not just my neighborhood, but your town. If we open that up strictly to commercial without certain controls, you might get a dispensary, you might get a vape shop, you're going to get whatever they can sell to, logically, to put in there so he can get the hell out of here. And that's just common sense. So my concern is for the neighborhood and for the aesthetics that the founding fathers saw when they deemed that residential and didn't want to make it commercial because they didn't want to look like East Haven, Route 80. Drive down that road. I did again today. I started writing down the businesses. It wasn't worth my time. All crazy strip plazas.
Could you wrap it up, Dave, please?
Pardon me?
Could you wrap it up, please?
All strip plazas on that road. We don't want to become that in this nice town in North Branford. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, would anybody else like to speak in opposition to the project?
I have one quick letter.
Could you hold on a second?
Yeah, there's also something I also want to add.
Could you hold on a second, please?
Sure.
All right, go ahead, you there.
It was mentioned last year, actually really wasn't last year, it was December of 2024, but technically last year, that there might be a possibility of putting small little shops in the bottom, maybe like a little barber shop. We have plenty of nail polish places, we don't need an abundance of that. And maybe on top, even the possibility of small little apartments. And because we're a democratic state and a sanctuary state, and I shouldn't make it seem like I'm a white supremacist, God forbid I insult any of my democratic friends, however, you'd have to kind of put low-income people in there too. And I'm not saying it's gonna depreciate the area, we have to give everybody an opportunity, but that was considered as a possibility. So the moral of the story is, like Dave said, we don't have any idea, and to a certain degree, you people don't have any idea either. Once they change the zone, it's up for grabs. It's almost for the highest bidder, and whatever they could put a, what do you call it, a Hotel Hilton across the street if they so desired, another liquor store, a Chili's, or anything. That's something that we want to, it's a small town, it's a rural town, and like I said, we've been here 29 years, and it's been a wonderful town. We're so grateful to live here. We came from New Haven. My husband was a police officer in New Haven, and we're glad that we moved here because it's been very beneficial to us on many levels. So I hope you would give us a lot of consideration that once we relinquish, and again, it's like if we just open that door we're in, it's going to change from residential to commercial. It's what do you call it? It's out of our hands, and to a certain degree, it's out of your hands also. And don't allow us to think that it is in your hands, because once it goes to a buyer, it's free reign, and I think we're going to lose. I know they're looking at it as far as the town is concerned, more things coming in, more revenue for the town. But there are other areas that are vacant that can be used for making more revenue for the town, more tax people, and paying for taxes than using that area. And it's been vacant, and Mr. Duty has run it very well. He's been a wonderful neighbor. He runs a very wonderful establishment. He hadn't, in all these years, turned it into a roadhouse. It's been under control as far as noise is concerned, and we'd like to keep it that way, if we can.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Letter, Dave?
This is to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Zoning should not be changed without residents being aware of what the use would be. There are numerous vacant properties on Route 80. Exclamation point. Lori and Sean Pradette with Chase Lane.
Any other ones, Dave?
That's it.
Last one. Last opportunity to speak in opposition to the project. Make it quick if it's not anything new. I think we've
I
already
understand that.
exhausted
I understand that,
everything
but
already.
we're here
Okay,
to-
thank you. Go ahead.
Has anybody,
Naaman.
I was up here already.
Okay.
Yeah, but the record doesn't, I mean, they don't.
Gary Semino, 18 Ashley Park Drive, North Branford, Connecticut.
Thank you.
All right. Now, has anybody confronted the people who own Central? That place is basically a dump. They got that building in the back that, I forgot what's, of the IGA or whatever was there. That's a big building. They were supposed to do something with it. They don't do nothing. If you go over there, the drugstore's gone. That's been empty for I don't know how many years. Has anybody approached them and say, clean up this place? Add something to that place? You wanna build businesses around here? That's a big parking lot, big building there, and it just sits there idle. It's a mess.
So, Gary, just from what I understand, the town, excuse me, the town applied the blight ordinance against the property owner to the extent that he sold the property.
Okay.
Because of
How long ago was that?
Just recently.
Just recently?
Yes, sir.
But the town let it go all this time.
The town applied the blight ordinance against them.
It takes-
And they really, well, anyway, I'm not gonna get in an argument, we're talking about a
I'm not
zoning
getting
change.
an argument, I'm just saying.
going in the
How
wrong
many years
direction.
did it take to do that?
We're talking about a zoning change, I'll refocus my efforts here, back to duties, and not about Central Plaza.
I'm just saying, that's another allocation, that if you want to build our tax base, there you go.
Understood. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Denise Grove, 23 Ashley Park Drive. So we talked about 72% residential and 12.5% commercial currently.
Approximately,
It
yep.
has a lot to do with it.
If we change it, What does it become?
Excuse me. She has the floor, please. Thank you.
If we change it, property from residential to commercial, what do the percentages become?
We haven't done those calculations.
So if we haven't done those calculations and everybody continues to say tax base, what is it gonna do for our town? We don't know. Calculations haven't been done. We don't know what's gonna go there, so we don't know what the taxes of a commercial whatever will be. So how are we saying it's gonna help our town?
Good answer.
Anyone else like to speak in opposition to the project? Opposition to? Opposition to? Then hearing none, I'd like to have the applicant rebut some of the comments, if you don't mind.
I'll keep it short. First, as far as grandfathering in, yes, you can't grandfather what's there, but you can't increase it, can't decrease it, so it's got, well, you can decrease it, but you can't increase it, so it stays within there, and I don't think that's the commercial use that was contemplated by the master planner, Plan of Conservation and Development. Number two, I can tell you honestly and forthright, in meeting with my clients, there's no waiting of the wings of some developer or a nod, a wing or a wink or anything like that going on. As far as I know, there's nothing out there. As far as setting a tone, this is the opportunity to set a tone. This is where you can take control of this project and say, if you're gonna develop along Route 80 on the west end or even the east end, this is what it's gonna look like when someone comes in with a site plan. This is what we wanna see in our town. This is the buffer, this is the landscaping. Ignoring that and saying, well, we're just gonna ignore because bad things happen and we're not gonna take control, it's not the way you run a town, in my view. As far as property taxes, no, it's not a question of property taxes going down, although I'm certainly in favor of that. It's a question of how quickly they're going to rise. If your budget goes up 2% and your grand list stays constant, then your mill rate's gotta go up to make its math formula. Mill rate times grand list equals tax. So if your grand list stays the same and the cost of town goes up, you gotta raise the mill rate, which means you gotta raise taxes. If your grand list goes up, then you don't have to worry so much about the rate, about the tax going up because your mill rate can stay the same, so the tax on your residents stays the same because you're getting more income from the businesses that are there. That's the argument. That's exactly what's in that master plan for 2000, up to 2029. Create a growing grand list. It keeps your taxes level or a slight increase for inflation, but not the increases we have seen in these towns, and no fault to the towns. That's just the way life goes. The third point I'd like to make is that on the road, yes, obviously, when you're gonna do a study of a town, you're gonna pick out in your study which are the most traffically, if that's a word, used roads, which are the most heavily used roads, and then look at those roads to determine if that's an appropriate road for business. When you open up a business, you do it by traffic count. That's just what you do. It's just the logic of businesses. If you're on a dead-end road, your traffic count is low, your business is gonna be low. So that's what you do. So when it says, well, Len, you're admitting, you're admitting that there's a lot of traffic. No, admitting that in the town of North Branford, this is a very well-traveled road. I don't think anybody's gonna disagree with that notion. They just formalized it by giving it a number. So bottom line is, yes, I think it makes sense. I think it is the way of the future. And I think it's the way you grow your grand list. And I think it's a good planning tool and has been designed by others just to say this is a good planning tool. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the commission.
Dave, you have a comment?
Would you like Mr. Fasano to address Kara's comments relative to HB 8002?
The housing bill?
Yeah.
Yes. You know,
We don't need to get into that.
I think it would be beneficial for everybody in attendance. It's ever evolving. Go ahead, Mr. Fasano, please.
so it's a question of whether this town is going to control their own zoning or leave it up to an independent body arguably an independent body COG, who's gonna come in and zone residential where it sees it wants residential. So those people are concerned about high-density residential. You have an R40 piece sitting on Route 80. I would argue that's a prime target for someone like COG to look at Route 80 and say, we want maximum residential in here, and you need to put affordable in here. And if the town, if COG says that's what they want, and the town does their own plan, and they reject COG's zoning suggestion, pick any place on Route 80 that has R40, not just duties, and say, we want to make low-income housing here, because there's a need in North Branford, this is residential, we're picking this, we want you to do it. COG says that to you all. You all ignore it, send your own plan up to the governor's office. The governor's office can say, we accept COG, we reject you, and either you amend your plan to do what COG says, or you lose your educational funding. That's what this bill says. That's what the bill says. No doubt about it, there's not even a question about it. So I've always taken a position, since the bill's been out, towns need to control their own function. They need to control their own design, and they gotta get busy. Because, as I said, if you're not at the table, you become the meal. And they are already saying, I mean, COG's gonna be very aggressive in this, because New Haven, in our area, controls that COG. And they've already made the statements it could be aggressive. And the governor's office has made the statements. It's the law, we can't change it, but we gotta deal with it. So I think that undervitalized, underused properties like duties and others along Route 80, and I don't know other properties along Route 80, not saying there are not others, I'm saying I don't have that knowledge to speak to it, are gonna be slated for potential designation by COG, which overrules our local boards. That's my honest viewpoint. Thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you, Lynn. Commission members, have any questions, concerns, comments you'd like to add to the discussion?
Do you need to close?
No, we're part of the, we're still in public hearing.
Well, I'll start off. I'm hearing a lot of good points. I'm hearing a lot of good points, and some points that don't apply. You can't hear me? Lady behind you can't.
I can't hear you.
Just speak louder.
Turn it up. And the thing we're looking at, a zone change. How much tax is it gonna bring to the town? We don't know, because it's a zone change. If Mr. Duty wants to put up empty buildings, we could tax those empty buildings. That's more income to the town. And I have to look at it and say, you know, I have a fiduciary position. Okay, it's Route 80 here, but it also affects people down by the Guilford line, down by the Durham line. So it's just that strip. And it's been operating as a business. We're all talking about our lineage. You know, we bought our property in '57. Do the math. He's been there for a long time.
94 years.
1930.
57, not 37.
No.
Pay attention. But what I'm saying is that it's a zone change. The traffic, that's the state. We have no control over that. Hartford's going to be changing the law. You know, if someone came in, you know, a lot of people know New York, Co-op City. If they want to put a high-rise in on that spot, there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing we can do about it. So better we get in before they change our rules And, that's how I look at it. It's I want my taxes to go down. I don't want them to go up.
Please.
I'm done with my explanation.
So one thing I want to add to the conversation. Last year in 2024, we had a lot of individuals come from Cinnamon Ridge and have a conversation about what was going to happen there. Actually, Cinnamon Ridge is R40. Cinnamon Ridge had a zone change itself. It went from 1 acre lots, R40, to half acre lots. So Cinnamon Ridge is a zone change in itself, to the benefit of North Branford tax base. Literally, it went from 1 acre lots to half acre lots. That's why it's a condominium association. That's why there's a pond in front of it. Am I on the right track, Dave?
Yep.
So right now, there should have been 1 acre lots in Cinnamon Ridge, but there's half acre lots. So that was an increase to the tax base of North Branford by each individual home. So thank you very much from Cinnamon Ridge and the developer and the foresight for the commission to do that to help North Branford's tax base. Would any other commissioner like to make a comment regarding that?
And I just want to continue that. I heard it referred to as the property is going to become commercial. It's not going to become commercial, it's going to become business one. And there's a list of what type of businesses can go in. Now, if you do your research, you can get what type of businesses from the town hall of what can go in. You're not going to see a oil tanker farm going in. We're restricted in what can go in on a B1. We also have B2 and B3, and then we go into industrial. To call it commercial, we don't have a commercial code. Am I correct?
That's right, business.
It's business. So I just want to clarify, some things that we're saying that aren't exactly true.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, point of order. You can say what you want.
All right, hold on, Cliff, come on up. We want to hear you in the mic, okay?
Okay.
Everyone listening.
You allowed two times. You allowed me one time. Point of order. You guys, your job is now, I'm in favor of this. You have to unhear double statements. You can't elect that. That can't affect your decision. They were allowed to speak twice. Those of us in favor are only allowed to speak once. Point of order. Am I wrong or am I right?
Cliff, you had an opportunity to speak again if you wanted to, but
When?
again, you're here.
No, because I was in favor. Now, the people who weren't in favor, that gentleman spoke twice,
Yep,
that lady spoke twice.
right.
Twice.
Hold on. You're right, Cliff. You're right. And you had already
Point of
made,
order.
you
Hit
already
the
made,
gavel.
you already made a comment to me that I need to gavel people and have a better structured meeting if I quote you properly, right?
Right.
So you're absolutely right. And everyone spoke, and those two people came up and spoke after everybody else as a point of order.
Yeah, they've got to
Okay,
speak
so
twice.
okay, and you had the opportunity to speak again if you wanted to, but you were already in favor.
I know, because again, I thought the meeting was going to run a little tighter.
Sit down.
Cliff, if you would like to speak, you have the mic. Have at it.
No, I just want you guys to unhear all it's a zone change. And I hear a little white noise in the background, but I'll ignore that. You guys got a job to do.
All right, enough of that, please. I'll clear the room. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable in this public forum. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty good about minding times, laws, but you can't unhear what you heard, and it better not affect your decision. Thank you.
Thanks, Cliff. Dave, you have anything else to add?
I think I'm all set.
You sure?
Thank you.
All right. Commission members? Mr. Fasano, would you like to have a closing statement?
I'm all set, thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right. With that being said,
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
motion by Barry, second by Ron, to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing's closed. All right. We've heard a lot of comments for and against the proposal. We've had some conspiracy theories. We've had all kinds of different comments regarding what could be there, what's not there. I'd like to hear what the commission members have to say about the project. From changing from a residential to a commercial zone on 4-acre piece of property known as Duties.
Commercial zone?
B1, the business zone.
There's no commercial zone.
It's no commercial zone in North Branford, it's a business zone. With that being said, commission members, and the public hearing is closed. Please hold your comments, okay? We closed it already. Thank you. Gentlemen? So I'll lead off the conversation. I'm in favor of this proposal to change Duties residential property to a business zone. The reason for my decision is that it's always been a business. In addition to that, the commission represents all of North Branford, from the Durham line to the Guilford line to East Haven down to Branford. So we have to look out for the best interests of all of North Branford. And with it being a business zone, I think there's additional opportunity for the tax base to grow, regardless of the understanding of what goes into a taxed piece of property. In a business zone, you can have a mixed use with the business on the bottom and residential's above. And right now, the taxes on Duties properties in the range of about $450,000. Cinnamon Ridge individuals are around $200,000 in the assessment of the property, more or less. When a business moves in, they have tax on the property, like residential. They have tax on the building, as in residential. But the other component to that is their vehicles, their inventory, their equipment, and everything like that, including all the pavement, has a different tax base application. And it's all public knowledge on the GIS system in North Branford. And every town in North Branford, you can see what your neighbor has on the tax, what he pays in taxes. It's public information. Free to look at it yourself. So I'm in support of the change from from residential to B1 zone. I'll leave it to commissioners to make comment.
You know, I'm going to have to agree also, and I realize I have to say this. The heckling from the audience does not help your cause. You know, it's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing to me, it's embarrassing to you. So please, stop the heckling. You know, if you can't not heckle, go out in the hallway. So, aside from that, my point is, like you said, Bob, it's a fiduciary position. You know, the handful of people in this room are not North Branford. You're just a composite. There are people, you know, on the other side of Nordford, well, actually all of Nordford, and down by Guilford, and, you know, a business change helps the tax base. It helps economic development. You know, the town is constantly evolving. You know, I hear a lot that we're a rural community. The last go around, we called Route 80 a rural road. It's like calling 91 a rural road. But looking at it dollar-wise, it's to our advantage, North Branford, for Mr. Duty to go from an R40 to a B1.
I'm just gonna jump in. So last meeting, there was a lot of commotion and a lot of talk about hotel. That's why I think a lot of people were nervous about a hotel coming in. But years ago, there was a study done to bring a hotel in for the sportsplex. I don't know if you guys are aware, and nobody bid on anything about a hotel. A hotel is just a fallacy that someone started with. There's no proposal for a hotel, there's nothing, that's not gonna happen. So, it's a commercial lot, it's been run as a business, it's zone change, it's just what it is, it's just a zone change, and that's it. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve 2025-10 zone change. I'll make the motion.
Does Chris want to say?
I have nothing
Were
else
there
to
any
add.
other
no.
comments?
Chris is all set.
Then I second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Paul, second by Ron, to approve the zone change from R40 to B1. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations. Next order of business is old business. There isn't any old business on the docket. New business, we don't have any new business. And other business, we have a Schedule A discussion.
Mr. Chairman, could we take a 5-minute break today?
Commission's gonna take a 5-minute recess. Need to pause that there? Sir, you coming?
Excellent.
Yeah, if you just throw them out.
What did you?
No.
What did you? Oh.
Yeah, typically there's 1 or 2 people in the audience.
This was so inside the show.
I'm gonna get you a buzzer.
Yeah, it's a top.
Don't have to me.
Pause with the hotel. There was legitimately a study done years ago for the hotel. And nobody- I like to call it gentlemen. Stay.
Yeah, take out.
It's not going to get our money.
Put a hotel there. Rates.
Only 1 hour.
Massage.
It's hard not to.
He's listening. He's gonna report back. That guy was listening. Good. I gotta be out of here at 7:30. I know. I listen to Judge Judy. I love Judge Judy. I'm like, hey. What do you think, Beth?
Put him on the board.
You don't want to listen, I'll be quick. But you gotta learn.
It's hard not to get sucked into it, you know?
I mean, they have good points, but at the end of the day, you got, it's, you gotta do. They're right out there. They don't understand.
It's not gonna increase. They don't know.
No, I didn't want to say that. Listen, if we don't do this, they're gonna come in and the housing, and then you're done. But then you don't open it. So somebody will be like, oh, what do you say? Oh, we can put house there. So they don't do it, we'll come in tomorrow. They could put the city up there. That's why I interrupted Bob. I interrupted Bob, and I knew he would bark. I wanted him to listen. You know, hey, why does that guy say that? You know, now they're arguing, so let's listen to what's going on. I was trying to make them listen, but I don't think they were.
And that's realistically the people that get next to an elementary school. Well, yeah, that's like,
Once
yeah,
every
she
2 years.
definitely was, yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't good at all. Like they do when they had the police and,
Oh, the gas tanks, that's right. That's the only thing put it in the open and the public.
But we have, but that's why I ended up, I wanted you to decide. I wanted you to, people to listen, you know?
And they lost the lawsuit because they didn't have standing.
What?
They didn't have standing. They had like nobody.
But he said it, if
You know,
I
next
was
meeting,
so hoping to be up there because I would have ripped them apart.
No.
then
That
next,
was fucking disgusting.
the next meeting will be at, it'll be one person and not it.
Yeah,
You gotta let them go. Let them go in the parking lot. and
The
then
guy
come
sits
on.
there and says, you know, about Central Plaza. I'm like,
Yeah.
not know what the council's done for the last 2 years, has tried to do for the last 2 years.
Well, we got, the liquor store was supposed to come in and then he was not going. I don't know what happened to that.
we can't get, that's right, you're the.
We approved a nice looking liquor
There's
store.
no,
Yeah,
there's
easy,
no
guys.
open businesses in those strip malls besides them.
If you've never put a hotel in the store.
No.
That's not, everything's full.
There's no draw.
I know.
There's nothing nearby that would draw.
Listen, you're sitting, somebody brought it up on the council.
If you can get shoveled, I don't know.
I'm staying with someone like what?
No.
I said, what's it gonna do?
They plow you in.
No, I gotta wait 5 minutes.
Well, you know, I used to live in.
So,
That was disgusting.
He is, he's there, and most.
when he's not there, we question, like, why is he not here? Okay?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's normally not like that.
But now I can't get
Town
back.
doesn't like change.
You got the most important.
Yeah.
They don't understand, they just
No,
don't get it.
it's not like it was 30 years ago.
Should throw them out.
Bob Sullivan, is there,
Hey, so going back to Florida?
When?
Tuesday.
Oh, you going Tuesday?
Yeah, after I shovel out. Because we were talking.
Just drive over it and forget about
No.
it. When you come back, it'll
In
be
your
well.
car, in your car and come here a lot.
We're coming home, I'm in the Tampa airport with my wife, and he comes running over.
Good night, good night.
In Tampa. We're coming home, we're on site, on my phone.
Hey, you may better take the snow shovel with you.
No, you're not gonna need it down there, but I heard it's 30 degrees there.
It's cold.
That's
When
right.
they get cold, they get cold.
It gets cold. So you know it folds up.
give Paul another minute. I think he
Good to
said
see you
that.
next time. Thanks, Bruce.
No,
Actually-
So,
Yeah, get a half a dozen shovels, you can make a fortune selling them down there.
He had to leave.
Yeah.
You're out of here, Paul?
Huh?
You're out of here, right?
No, we were.
Janet, we on?
Yeah. yeah,
Okay.
but, not really.
All right, we'll pick up where we left off for meeting January 22nd, 2026. Agenda item number 7, other business. Schedule A, discussion. Anything new, Dave, relative to that?
No, you want to schedule a public hearing?
We'll do them separately, right?
Yeah.
All right, because this would be the time for when I get back, March something or other, right? Because we need 2 notices, right?
Okay. So you'll be back for the first meeting?
First meeting of March, correct?
First meeting, so it'll be like March 3rd, 4th, 5th, something like that?
5th.
Okay. Okay, great.
March 5th.
And we'll just do Schedule A. Can we, we'll pass that on to the EDC to get their
Yes.
referral?
Yep.
Would it be possible that they spread the word to local businesses through their contacts?
Yes, we will get it out on social media and everything else.
Okay. We'll do, if we're doing it that, the Schedule A, can we do the form-based as well, but not a public hearing until later in March for the form-based code?
Say that again?
Do you want to do both of them at the same time?
No.
No, we'll do Schedule A first.
Right.
March 5th. But my point is, when you send out the Schedule A, send out the form-based code too.
Correct, and we can have a discussion about that, in-depth discussion at that same meeting.
All right, fair enough. Forecasting what's coming in the next.
Correct.
Okay. There was a lot of discussion today, Dave, regarding what it's going to look like, right? And our form-based code has a great pictorial display within it, right?
Yes.
Even though it has a lot of the offsets, everything's in the front. But I think that view is what would help us on future development anywhere in North Branford, for the view, not so much the offsets and off the street and so on and so forth, but because we got pictorials in so somehow we'll be able to do that. I probably didn't record it.
Yes, we can come up with something for the next meeting to talk about it.
Right, I think it makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
Right, because all great points, but we've been struggling, us, past, and now future. What do we want to build? I don't know. What's it supposed to look like? I don't know. What do we want it to look like? Well, now here's a pictorial that we want you to build something close to this.
Like Clinton Process.
There you go. All right.
Clinton Process.
Okay, Dave, so you send Schedule A and that to the EDC, social media, public hearing, March 5th for Schedule A.
Very good.
Okay. On other business, we have two new members going to be joining us once they get sworn in. Bruce Abelson is going to be a regular member to the commission. An alternate member will be Daniel Seidel, will be an alternate member to the
You're fine. Close enough.
Sendel.
Sidon.
Seiden. I'm good at math, I apologize, Daniel, if you're watching. Anybody else?
S-I-D-O-N.
S-I-E-I-D-E-N.
What was that again?
Side, S-E-I-D-E-N, right?
S-I-E-D-E-N.
S-I-E.
D-E-N.
Yeah, C.
I before E, except I
Daniel
don't
Bell.
see.
No, I know.
C, S-I-E, C.
So hold on a second, time out here, all right? Is that the way it was spelled in email? I think it was spelled in email, S-E-I-D-E-N, but I'm not gonna argue the semantics behind it, but I can't pronounce it anyway, so I apologize, right, Paul?
A month.
Water.
I even had to give you famous players, football people, everything. The ice cream.
I'm sorry, I'm good with math, I apologize. I'm just a volunteer, I did get a raise this year. Did you guys get a raise? Yeah?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, we all got raises, we're just volunteers.
Perfect.
They came around one turn on the chair.
There you go. Another business, can I, well, we need to vote on a vice chair, and I'd like to do that tonight. Do I need
Sure.
to amend the agenda?
Sure.
So I entertain a motion to amend the agenda under item 7, other business, to conduct an election for the vice chair.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second for an election, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the agenda is amended under other business 7.
Who's second that?
We had Paul and,
Nobody.
no.
No, I did.
Oh, you did.
Barry.
Okay.
Sorry.
So the agenda's modified, so in.
All in who?
Barry.
Barry. So our vice chair has resigned as of our last meeting, January 8th, so leaves the chair open. So with that being said, it's up to us to elect a new vice chair. And the next senior member below Bill is Ron, so I'd like to make a motion to elect Ron Sienna as vice chair.
I'll second.
Okay. I could do that, right? As
Sure.
chair?
Or I'll make
As
the
chair.
motion.
And I'll second.
All right. Motion by Paul, second by Barry for Ron to be vice chair. All in favor, say aye.
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 Abstain.
5, abstain.
You're not gonna vote
So
against
4
it?
to 1, still passes. Thank you, Ron, for your service. We appreciate you. We appreciate Bill for all his service over the decades that he served with us. We're gonna truly miss his institutional knowledge, and we appreciate his time that he spent with us. So with that being said, congratulations, Ron. Moving on to item 8, Town Planners Report. Do we have anything for next meeting, Dave?
I've been going over the bonds that we've been requesting of people, and there are at least 25 bonds that are out there that have actual cash associated with them that should be returned to the bondholders, since a lot of these projects are 20 years old, 25 years old. and have been completed, so I'm going through those, trying to just document them. And there's probably another 25 or 30 that are insurance bonds that should be released as well. So I just want to sort of clean those all up. So I think over the next couple of meetings, I'll bring 10 or 20 or 30 to a meeting, and we can just vote and get rid of them. Because they're clogging up my safe and they're not worth anything.
So I would, being that they're so old, I assume that you'll do your due diligence to make sure all the Ts are crossed
Yeah.
and the Is are dotted, so we don't fall into any issue.
Correct.
And hopefully the people are still around.
Well, with the cash bonds, most of them are still around, and the surety bonds, they're not really worth a whole lot anyway.
So no new application, just cleaning up old paperwork.
I don't know of any new applications.
Okay. Nothing else?
No.
You're good? Okay. Commission members have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
I have put together a packet for our new members and for some of our other relatively new members in terms of training, websites to look at. You're required to have 4 hours of training every 2 years. And I think everybody has pretty much done it. But now that we have 2 new members, they can look at it. And it's a pretty good group of websites where you can actually just look at reading maps. And, people sometimes get on planning and zoning commissions and don't really know how to read a site plan. So that information would be there. So I'll get that out in the next week or two.
So zoning regulations,
I actually pulled up, did my research last couple of days on the zoning, on the types of zones, B1, B2, and commercial, residential. So I pulled it up just prepared for tonight, so just in case some,
we appreciate you coming, Bruce. We appreciate you coming. Thank you.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have you.
You'll be the only member here next year, next meeting, so good.
Well, considering of these people, I don't know if I want to do this now.
No, he missed the chicken, so there's nothing.
That was a classic. You missed a good one.
Oh, that guy was the chicken?
No.
Oh,
You came to the chicken.
I saw that. I was there at that meeting. I went to that one.
Full chicken.
Oh, I saw that, yeah. That was interesting, and the lights.
So with that being said, I'll move on to item number 9. Usually our illustrious senior member of the staff usually carries us out and closes the door. Would you like to do the honors?
Before we do that,
Yes, sir.
I understand there's a possibility of you zooming in.
Zooming in.
Yes.
Yes, next meeting I'll be zooming from the Southern Command Center.
Yes. Before you go traveling, can you set up your Zoom, test it with Dave to make sure you can connect?
Sure, yeah.
Dave's got homework now.
The new vice, and I'm,
He's already delegated
now I'm
some.
starting to delegate.
Nice.
And the other thing is, item number 9, that used to be handled by the senior member, which he's now the new vice chair. I think it should be delegated, who's not here?
The new people.
I don't want to do this to you, to have you pronounce a name that,
You want to spell it? I would.
we're going to pay.
Daniel, he'll take us out. Dan. Okay.
Down the end.
You want me to close it? I'll make a motion to close.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second on motion.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is closed at 8:12. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, audience, and thank you for watching. See you next meeting.